विनोद जी आ रहा है बट साइज देखना पड़ेगा, स्क्रीन साइज प्रेजेंट करो.
So, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, faculty, and all students, a warm welcome to each one of you as we gather here for the flagship event of the FMS Forum, the Founders' Day. The Founders' Day is a testament to the collaborative spirit that unites us all who take pride in their association with FMS and its salience to the business world. The overarching theme of the event this year is AI and its impact on business. Today, let us acknowledge the dedication of our founders whose vision has laid the foundation for excellence of FMS. We are honored to have you all as a part of this momentous occasion. In the spirit of collaboration, let us use this occasion as a platform for making meaningful connections, shared insights, and a renewed sense of purpose, as we envision a future where FMS continues to shape the landscape of business education. I would now like to invite the President of FMS Forum, Mr. Raj Sharma, to the dais to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you, Drisha. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to the Founders' Day celebration of the Faculty of Management Studies. It is my privilege that the Dean of FMS, who is also the de facto patron of the FMS Forum, has entrusted the task of organizing the Founders' Day has entrusted the task of organizing the Founders' Day to the FMS Forum. As most of you would know, this is a landmark year because we're completing 70 years of the setting up of FMS. As you all may be aware, the principal objective of the FMS Forum is to enhance the brand equity of FMS. Towards this objective, the FMS Forum has been organizing words of wisdom lectures as well as panel discussions on topics of contemporary interest to students, alumni, and faculty. This year too, we discussed the possible themes amongst ourselves and then bounced them off the Dean and his faculty members as well as student body representative. Needless to say, AI and its impact on business seems to be the most relevant and buzzing topic. You see articles and discussions on the topic all around you. We are delighted that we have someone like Rohit Jawa, an alumnus of FMS, heading one of the largest companies in India, agreeing to be the keynote speaker. It is, in a sense, a double bonus for the Institute and especially for the audience today. We are equally, the panel that we have for discussion on the theme is star-studded, and we really look forward to hearing them, moderated by one of the most well-known faces of television, Gargi Rawat. We shall keep the introduction of the panelists for later, but I must say a few words about the topic, about which most of our generation, I must confess, is just beginning to understand and have been by and large clueless. I do hope that in talking about artificial intelligence, I do not betray some natural stupidity, but nevertheless, let me make an attempt. The most obvious consequence of using AI is to increase productivity and efficiency, and thereby reduce costs of operation. While over 20% industries are already using it on a regular basis, the remaining industries too have tried it in one way or the other. The prominent industries would be automobile, telecommunications, healthcare, electronics, media, entertainment, energy, banking, and so on. The list is large and ever growing. Investment in AI is growing globally. In India, the focus is more so in AI startups. Actually, when I read the statistics on how many AI startups have been set up in India and are coming about, it's very, very interesting. And I heard from Rohit here the kind of investment that is going into AI in India in the coming years. It's absolutely mind-boggling. And of course, I think in a sense also appropriate, because that's the future. There is a fear that emergence of AI will lead to increased unemployment. While that may be partly true, it also means that everyone has to reskill themselves to remain relevant. On the other hand, new jobs will get created to develop and implement AI. Humans with AI skills will score over those who are not familiar with AI. I think most of us have started using Chat GPT, and I think some of the students confessed that they use it for their assignments, and that has made life easier. Anyway, I would rather listen to the experts on the subject. So without much ado, let us move on to the next item in our agenda. And I take this opportunity to invite the Dean of FMS, Professor Venkat Raman, to come and deliver his opening address. Thank you.
Respected former deans, Professor Narag and Professor Mitra and Mrs. Narag, my colleagues, Mr. Rohit Jawa, and the alumni, dear students, and all the well-wishers of FMS. I first of all, at the outset, like to pay homage to Professor M.P. Gupta, who left us to the heavenly abodes last month. So on that somber note, I'm delighted and privileged, of course, to be part of this Founders' Day celebration. We are celebrating a visionary who laid the foundation for FMS. I am the third generation of FMS faculty, and we currently have a fifth generation of faculty members. And he laid the seedlings which we see today. And his vision and values, what it was and what it will be, remains even today alive. We are the only faculty or business school in this country which continues to promote equitable access to the quality management education with the principles of encompassing the principles of inclusivity and diversity. I can ad nauseum keep saying this repeatedly because we are unique in that, and these values came from this visionary. Fondly called as Kaka by a lot of faculty members, apparently. That's what I hear. And he was a tall figure in management education in India. So we are celebrating this visionary, and I am hopeful, or rather I should assure all the alumni as well as the students, that we will continue to uphold these values for the rest of our lives. I am extremely glad and delighted that Mr. Rohit Jawa, one of our illustrious alumnus, had agreed to be part of this very apt topic, artificial intelligence. At one point of time it was called as augmented intelligence, and its impact on the business. We have seen this impact of business from a wide range of all walks of our life, starting from when you Google some product in Myntra, next time you have a Myntra advertisement in your Google chat box or whatever. The potential is unlimited. We are already seeing that potential in medicine. It's a customized medicine. We also see that as job losses, that is on the other side, which means that new job categories are getting created and old jobs are getting weaned out. But businesses cannot remain isolated from a society. Business is a microcosm of a society. But what this artificial intelligence will do to us as a country like India is something that we need to also be contemplating about. Technology has made or enslaved us. We have seen that starting from television, which made our living room conversations extremely limited. it affected our relationship, to the smartphones of today, which has really spawned a huge amount of mental health issues among a large number of an entire generation, particularly the Gen Z, the kind of likes and dislikes that they would like to have through these social media platforms. So fundamentally, we have become, we thought that the technology will help us, but the technology is enslaving us. Would we become a surveillance society by the use of artificial intelligence? Will we become more voyeurish about others? Even as governments are scratching its head in terms of what to do with this new animal on the doorstep, a lot more, I am sure, will be deliberated by both the panel and also Mr. Rohit. I only hope that we will not forget about the impact of artificial intelligence besides business, but to the society at large. And I look forward to this wonderful conversation. Thank you once again for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for this wonderful address. Moving on, every year on the occasion of Founders' Day, the FMS Forum confers the Lifetime Achievement Award on one of our prestigious FMS professors. This year, we have the honor of conferring this award on Professor A.S. Narak. I would now like to invite Mr. Ashwin Malik to accompany Professor A.S. Narak and present the citation to him.
Dear friends, on behalf of FMS Forum, it is a great honor to be called upon to announce the recipient of this year's Long-Term Achievement Award and to read the citation for the same. This year, the Long-Term Achievement Award is being presented to Professor A.S. Narak. For all those familiar with FMS, Professor Narak needs no introduction. May I say that Professor Narak is an institution in his own right. An affable and engaging teacher, Professor Narak's classes on operations research were always a pleasure and brought that subject to life. I shall now read from the citation. Professor Narak has been the head and dean of the Faculty of Management Studies, University of Delhi. He specializes in the areas of management science, project management, and materials management. He worked as a faculty with FMS from July 1969 to March 2011, an MSc in Operations Research from the University of Delhi, and a PhD in Management from the Faculty of Management Studies. Professor Narak attended the ITP, the International Teachers Program, organized by the Graduate School of Business, Harvard University, in 1973. Professor Narak has a professional experience of over 42 years. He has been involved in management teaching, training, research, and consulting. He has guided a number of research students pursuing their MPhil and PhD programs at FMS. Professor Narak has contributed robustly to more than 45 research papers and articles in standard and reputed journals and authored 2 books and a research monograph. Professor Narak has got extensive experience of university administration, managing different portfolios from time to time. He coordinated the affairs of foreign students at the University of Delhi as Foreign Students Advisor from June 1986 to March 2007. He has also held the position of Dean Consultancy of the University of Delhi to provide direction and monitor the consultancy assignments undertaken by the teaching faculty of the university. He has been a member of a number of policy-making committees of the university for streamlining the functioning of various units of the university. He was also the chairman of the governing body of a University of Delhi college. He was an independent director on the board of Power Grid Corporation of India Limited and also has been on the board of the Bank of Punjab in the past. Currently, he is a governing council member of Rajiv Gandhi Cancer Hospital and the chairman of the academic council of the hospital. Professor Narag has traveled extensively to a number of countries for participating in the international seminars, conferences, and task force committees. He has provided management consultancy services to corporate units, both in the private and public sector. He has been actively involved in developing and implementing management training programs, as well as academic curriculum for a number of management institutions. I now request the Dean of FMS, Professor Venkat Raman, to kindly hand over the Lifetime Achievement Award and a citation to Professor Narak. May I now request Professor Narak to kindly deliver his acceptance speech.
Thank you very much for a very, very kind introduction. I'm slightly confused. One letter says Long-Time Achievement Award and second one says Lifetime Achievement Award. So I don't know which one is it. Anyway, I feel extremely humbled and what should I say, honored in getting this award. Grateful to Executive Council of the Management Forum, FMS Forum, for giving me this award. Friends, I had a long association with FMS. I joined FMS in July '69 when I was barely 23 myself. I'm March 1946 born, and I joined FMS, and then it was called the Department of Business Management and Industrial Administration. And I finally hung my boots, as you call it, in March 2011. It was a very long journey, but made very comfortable and even very enjoyable by colleagues and also by participants like you in various programs. I must also share with you in a lighter vein how I was inducted in the faculty. How did I get this job? Professor Dasgupta, who was our founder dean, whom I always hold that he was a visionary and a great institution builder. Whatever we have today, I don't mind saying that, and I fully admit that it was his dream which has come true, which is coming true. He called Professor Chatterjee, his second in command and his go-to man. He said, look, I have Muslims, I have Christians, I have Punjabis, I have Tamilians, and so on on the faculty. I don't have a Sikh. So locate me a Sikh who can teach Sikh faculty, not Sikh, okay. Sikh faculty who can teach statistics and operations research. I had completed my master's from St. Stephen's College, University of Delhi in 1968. I don't want to brag, but I was a gold medalist, topper. And I had won one of the most prestigious scholarships, Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, which was awarded to only 10 scholars in the country. And I was happily pursuing my research on mathematical programming. a subject area very close to my heart, under a very famous Professor S.M. Sinha. Professor Chatterjee got in touch with Professor Sinha, and then the story started from there. A meeting was set up between me and Professor Dasgupta, and he sold me dreams, and I bought them. I thought, this is my place, this is where I'm going to look for my future. Friends, FMS also, which started as Department of Business Management and Industrial Administration, started way back in 1955, had a very humble beginning. We were a two-room department in Faculty of Arts. Then we moved over to Delhi School of Economics, Department of Economics. They gave us 2 rooms. We used to run only 2 programs, three-year part-time diploma in industrial management and diploma in business management. We moved over to this new building, which many of us call as Red Building of Dreams, which it is. And this building was commissioned in January 1967. And after that, we started our MBA full-time program, the first batch, in 1967. And after that, FMS has not looked back. But how has it happened? It's happened because of friends like you. Because you have gone on into the industry and acted as 2 industry captains and performed well. And this has brought a lot of reward to FMS over the years. We are a brand equity. We have a brand equity. We are a name to reckon with now. There is, in fact, there is a magazine, international magazine called CEO World Magazine, which many of you must be aware. For the last 5 years, it has been consistently rating us as amongst the top 50 business schools in the world. Look at the resources we have and what we have achieved. It is dedication of the faculty and brilliant performance by our alumni. In fact, I will not be exaggerating if I say we have contributed more than 100 chief executive officers to the industry. And, well, I have a friend who's an example here, Rohit. Well done, and so proud to have you here today. And more than 30-odd professors all over the world. Many of them, about 7 of them, are in touch with me. We have full professors in Stanford, Chicago, Michigan, and Florida. So what have you? So we have done well, and but we cannot sit back on our laurels. We have to continue to work hard and try and strive for excellence in future. I don't want to go on further. We have a very interesting topic coming up, but it's a pleasure, and I'm grateful again, friends, to the Management Forum, FMS Forum, for honoring me with this award. And thank you very much, and enjoy your evening. Thank you very much.
All right, it's now time for the keynote address, something that we have all been waiting for. It's my proud privilege to invite Mr. Rohit Jawa to come on stage, and then I would read the introduction. So, Rohit Jawa is the Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director of Hindustan Unilever Limited. He's also the President, Unilever South Asia, and a member of the Unilever Leadership Executive. Rohit started his career with HUL as a management trainee in 1988. He has a proven track record of sustained business results across India, Southeast Asia, and North Asia. As Executive Vice President, North Asia and Chairman Unilever China, Rohit helped transform the business into Unilever's third largest globally. He developed a distinct strategic agenda for China, championed digitalization and premiumization, and steered the business very capably through the COVID crisis. As the chairman of Unilever Philippines, he led the business to become one of the top 10 markets for Unilever globally. He's deeply passionate about integrating the strength of traditional markets with digital technologies and future-fit business models. Rohit has a bachelor's degree from St. Stephen's College and an MBA from the Faculty of Management Studies, both of course at the University of Delhi. He's an alumnus of IMD Business School, Lausanne, Switzerland, where he completed the Breakthrough Program for Senior Executives in 2018. Rohit also completed the Advanced Management Program from Harvard Business School in 2022. In his free time, Rohit enjoys music, learning about different cultures, engaging with stories, and traveling. So over to you, Rohit.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma, for the kind introduction. I'm really happy to be here. So in '88, when I left the Red Building of Dreams, I dreamt of working for the best consumer marketing company in India at that time. Thank you. And indeed, I joined HUL as a trainee, a management trainee in '88, and I've been in Unilever family since then. So a long history of working for this consumer goods company across many markets, as you mentioned. And I'm glad to be back here now, 8 odd months back from the UK, London, where I was running a chief transformation role, and back into India and also South Asia. So, and indeed, thank you again for the invite. First of all, to the FMS Forum Council, Sundar, who is very close to me because he was my first line manager when I joined Hindustan Unilever. So, I owe it back to him, and he was talking of the whole thesis of FMS Forum is Guru Dakshina. And I could not say no to that invitation, and also an opportunity to be back with all of you. I think we all get energy from the youth, from the future of this country, and indeed the future of companies like ours. So I'm really happy to be here. Much regard for FMS, the Dean Venkat Raman. I also had the privilege meeting my 2 old teachers, Dr. Narag, of course, and Dr. Mitra. I remember both their lessons. I remember the organization behavior classes, and the book from Fred Luthans. I still remember that book. In fact, a whole lot of my passion for transformation comes from reading about organizational change as back as 30, 40 years ago. So I think all of what you do really does deeply instill foundations that impact people's lives like mine. So thank you again to the FMS community, the deans, for making us who we are. So small way of giving back is basically this session on AI. So again, very happy to be here. So what I'm going to do now in the next 30 odd minutes and thereabouts is to just give you a practitioner's view on artificial intelligence, because I'm not an AI expert. If there's very highly technical stuff, then you're listening to wrong lecture. So this is more about how we in business are looking at AI and the applications we see today, and perhaps the applications we see in the future. We can speak to a little bit in Q&A about what are the dilemmas that the business is facing, and you touched upon some of them around, say, the social impact of it, the jobs and the ethics and so on and so forth. So that's my intention is to really leave you with a sense of how business or practitioners are looking at AI. So that is what I'd like to achieve in the next half an hour or so. Is it okay? Cool. So let's start with a context setting, and I'm going to introduce my colleague Ajita Raitesh at the back to help me make the presentation work. Are we good to go? Great. So we'll start with a video, if I can play it on, or maybe I have to ask AI to do that for me. Can you click that? We'll start with a bit of a video which sets up the context of how technology is changing our lives. It just will set the mood for the session. So let's look at the video, please.
There's an Uber 3 minutes away.
number, I'll
Shall I
watch it
book
on
it?
WhatsApp group.
You know that
Okay,
last
good.
one?
Kickstarter just last Alexa,
The
turn on
NE
Fire TV.
My daughter can't stop using TikTok. She thinks she's a real life.
Your number and I'll add you to our WhatsApp group. Ik heb gewoon net onze regel.
Tomorrow, instead of Christmas Day being devoted just to family, a record number of people are expected to be shopping online.
Right. So AI technology is actually everywhere. In fact, we might be talking about artificial intelligence quite a lot these days, including how NVIDIA's reached $2 trillion market cap yesterday. But frankly, AI is almost as old as FMS. It started more like 1950s with Alan Turing, and at the very, very basic level, AI, and I'm also learning, is essentially just making machine think like humans at the very basic level. Easier than it sounds, but it's taken a lot of years of various forms of artificial intelligence to come into the enterprise and the social structure to finally take in effect, and I'll give you a sense of what that is. Today, AI is entrenched in all parts of life. So whether, for instance, you are trying to order a taxi, or you're trying to make a meal delivered to your place, or looking for directions and how much time it's going to take me from here to the airport. In fact, it knows I'm going to the office every morning. It's totally infused in our daily lives. It's what I'm going to watch on Saturday evening on Netflix, how the content can be personalized to my taste. It's everywhere already in the society and in the business today. And many of the startups, as you mentioned, many trillion-dollar enterprises are being built around technology. In India, coming closer home, what's really changed the impact of AI, because it's not really just a notional, theoretical idea anymore, is the digital revolution. In fact, one thing that's totally taken me by surprise, not surprise, but I'm totally inspired by the level of transformation the country has seen over the last decade or two with the India tech stack. The digital transformation of India, and I've been in China 5 years, so I really know what a fully infused digitization looks like in day-to-day lives. But coming to India, I think the India tech stack is very, very quite unique, and it's going to be a story that's going to be repeated for many, many years to come. No company, forget country, has been able to transform at this level of scale and impact as India has with digital transformation. The basics of India tech stack, such as the bank accounts, the mobile phone, and Aadhaar, JAM for short, and all of the stuff that's being built on the top of it, the payment system, the supply chain system, the transit system, the ONDC e-commerce system, is going to completely change the nature of this country. So soft infrastructure. Today, digitization means that not people in this room alone. If you go to rural areas, so we have close to almost 700 odd million internet connections and growing. We have 1 billion odd phones out there. Many of them are smartphones, or most of them are smartphones. We have data, which is now the lowest cost per GB anywhere in the world. It's absolutely democratized. 200 odd million people in the country on e-commerce and growing very, very fast. So imagine the force of these two, the adoption, the access, whether it's urban or rural, rich or poor, north or the south, everybody has access to the same information, same aspiration, and it opens up doors, and it also creates huge amounts of data flow. Data is the lifeblood of AI. So when all of this is going to happen, and not just in the markets like the US, but also markets like India, this is going to totally change the way the AI will have an impact as we go forwards. Even closer home, as HUL, Hindustan Unilever, and I want to make a little bit of sponsors pitch, why I feel so proud of this business and why I feel that we are well positioned to exploit the opportunity that this AI and the data revolution is throwing at us. We are currently a market leader in consumer goods, as you all know. We have close to 9 out of 10 households using our products. We are #1 employer of choice by far, including from FMS, I was glad to know. We have some great, we're known as a talent factory. We've had known as a CEO factory. In fact, a couple of my colleagues, Sudhi right here and Sundar, are a testament to the fact that we produce some really high quality talent making huge impact. Our market cap in India is under $70 billion, which is a global scale, so we are bigger than many other global companies in terms of market cap. We are the largest advertiser. We have a great R&D depth in the country, almost 700 scientists, many of them are PhDs, 3 research centers, one in Bangalore, Mumbai, and in Gurgaon. We've been able to not just grow, but also do that responsibly. We are known as a strong corporate citizen. Our work on water conservation is path-breaking. We've been at it for the last 14 years. Our work on plastic conservation and neutrality is leading edge. And we've also been pioneers in access of rural and entrepreneurship through our Shakti program that's also almost 20 years old and 200,000 Shakti Amma strong. So we are a company that is totally infused in the past and the future of this country's great track record. How do we see AI in business? And I will sort of try and keep this at a very simple level. If you look at the AI, we see this really cutting across 3 parts of the supply chain. #1, the consumer. How do we actually build brands, sell to our consumers and shoppers? Second, to our customers, in this case, our Kirana stores. We go to close to 3 million Kirana stores in the country. There are about 11 million Kirana stores in the country. We go directly every month to almost 3 million of them. So those are our 75% of our business goes through what we call traditional trade. So how do we exactly use technology in a traditional format? And #3, of course, very important, use cases are in the space of operations, supply chain, and I'm going to try and give you a little bit of flavor on each one of these with some use cases as I go forward. Now, AI is not just generative AI. In my own induction and learning, I realized that AI is just not only, so what we hear about ChatGPT is one form of AI. The future of AI will be artificial general intelligence, which is even more human-like, and many people are working on it. But we've had AI and work on AI since almost the 50s, and as I mentioned. So things like machine learning, deep learning, things like computer-aided recognition, and many other applications you see out there on this chart are all basically artificial intelligence. So while ChatGPT is the most famous and most talked about thing at the point, it is neither the beginning nor the finish of the journey of AI as we look forward. So let's just look at how HUL is applying all forms of artificial intelligence into 3 parts of the value chain: the consumer, the customer, and the operations. I want to first start by consumer. So what you see is essentially a simple example of immersive beauty tech. So we've taken the notion of making choices. If you go to a salon and you want to buy a product or a treatment that suits you best, you consult a human being, or you might do that when you want to buy a shade, or you want to buy a shampoo or a conditioner or a treatment for your hair, which is a certain type for a certain weather. So all of this intelligence has been infused into a very simple immersive beauty tech, and we've got that across 8 of our brands. And we find about 5 million odd trials, so a whole lot of consumers who then eventually use these apps are able to actually, we are able to convert 2% more. That's almost twice as many shoppers or users when they interact with this beauty tech. So a very simple example of using data around weather, hair types, treatments, preferences, all, and it gets smarter the more people use it. As an example of, for instance, the immersive beauty tech that we now use across 8 of our brands and increasing its impact. The second, I'm now going to speak about the customers, and this is a use case of our Shikhar, a B2B app. I just want to give you a sense of our business. So we sell 70% of our business goes through general trade. The rest goes to modern trade and e-commerce. Of the 70% that goes to general trade, we go to 3 million outlets every month, of the total of 11 million in the universe. These 3 million outlets, basically, we sell through our distributors and our salespeople who have handheld terminals that have got an intelligent app. We call it IQ. IQ is able to essentially predict what the store should or would be buying based on neighboring and like information and what's going on with the rest of the signals. And we have close to almost 100 million assortment recommendations going through deep learning neural networks that basically recommend before. So the salesman doesn't need to think about what to sell. The outlet doesn't need to think about what to buy. The machine does the thinking and recommends what is likely to be out of stock, what could sell here, where we should make more focus, and so on and so forth. So we already do this for almost 10 years, and it's getting smarter with every upgrade with technology. What we've done over the last 3-4 years is flipped it to the B2B app. We call it Shikhar. So a mirror version of this intelligence has now been transferred on the hands of the Kirana merchant. So a general store merchant can actually take the app and place an order to HUL at any time they would like. So 24/7, they can do that in the evening. Even when we don't go to them, when the shops are shut, distributors are shut, they can actually place the order. And that gives us an opportunity to essentially connect with 3 million people on a daily basis. So we know what they like, how they're surfing. We can personalize offers to them based on a bit like what Netflix would do. And we would know, okay, hey, what about trying this, and so on and so forth. We've also now been able to use a tool called Envision. Envision essentially takes a picture of the shelf. And it takes a picture of the shelf in a minute or less. The data goes into a cloud. The cloud calculates what's in stock in the shop, recommends what's likely to run out, what we'll be doing in terms of share of shelf, etc. And it recommends to our salespeople, what to do in the shop, and it also recommends to the storekeeper, if they are doing it on their own, on what they should order. So through just purely recognition of what's on stock or taking a picture, goes up in a cloud, the cloud calculates, the analytics calculate what they should be ordering, and pops up in us within a minute things that this particular shopkeeper can actually order because they're doing well, or he might run out, or he's short. So that's another great example of basically using computer design. What we've also done recently in using GenAI is we have essentially sent out a small module with Arshad Varsi to all of our 1.3 million retailers, asking them to customize an offer for their shoppers. So if you go to shop, they serve households around their area. They have maybe a boy or a girl or somebody who drops the stuff, so they have delivery system, and essentially it's their community. What we've really done is used a famous star, created using GenAI, created an ability to customize an offer for their catchment. So each storekeeper can actually use this and send a video of their store to their customers. And something like a video was downloaded every 10 seconds in the initial phase of this. Let me just play the video to give you a sense of what it would be doing for, if let's say I run a Mahesh store, say on this road, how would I use this to actually propagate and increase my own business with my catchment? So let's play the video. Can you play that, Ajita?
नमस्कार, सत श्री अकाल, आदाब। मैं हूं अरशद वारसी। बड़े पर्दे पर मैंने आपको हंसाया है, थोड़ा बहुत रुलाया भी है, लेकिन आज मैं बताने आया हूं आपके पसंदीदा नजदीकी स्टोर महेश किराना स्टोर के बारे में। जी हां, वही स्टोर जहां से आप अपने घर का जरूरी सामान खरीदते हैं। एक बात बताऊं, आपके पसंदीदा महेश किराना स्टोर में रेड लेबल हॉर्लिक्स किसान पर चल रहे हैं ढेर सारे ऑफर्स। इन प्रोडक्ट्स पे पाइए 10% तक की छूट। बचत करना समझदारी है, और अरे आप तो समझदार कस्टमर है ना? अरे तो जल्दी से आइए और बचत का फायदा उठाइए। क्या आप आज बिजी हैं? अरे कोई बात नहीं, आपके लिए महेश किराना स्टोर अब होम डिलीवरी भी करता है। नीचे दिए फोन नंबर पे कॉल करिए और अभी ऑर्डर दीजिए। तो टेंशन नहीं लेने का, एकदम कॉन्फिडेंस में फुल टू खरीदारी करने का, समझा क्या?
So this is each, like thousands of retailers have customized it and send this to their customers to WhatsApp. So that's really how we're using it, say, in our general trade, which is, as I mentioned, 70%. So technology deeply influences. I think we have perhaps the most deeply held competitive moat, getting stronger because of the use of tech for almost a decade and getting stronger. Coming to supply chain. Now, supply chain is one place where the use of AI is, to be honest, extremely productive. Because you're dealing with tons of data, it's highly complex, situation is very volatile, and it really beats human capacity to solve problems. We currently we make products in 29 factories, about 50, 60 odd contract manufacturers, 70 units across the country. We're serving 3 million all outlets. We in fact sell 65 to 70 billion units every year. That's a whole lot of units per head in India. We have to serve our customers in rain, sun, or shine, through strikes, this volatility or that. And it requires, and you can't predict demand by using good old Excel anymore. You can't do a good job with, and it's all very important. Everything is money. Time is money, stock is money, and it's purely good business sense to use technology to sort of simplify this task. So today, we use AI quite extensively in our supply chain system. To give you a few examples, we are using machine-led learning forecasting on demand. So we used to have in the early days a lot of people doing Excel sheets to forecast demand. And now all of that is done by machines. I've seen that in China and also in India. Machines beat human beings anytime when it comes to accuracy forecast. 65% of HUL's demand planning is now done by purely machines, so hands off. And whenever humans come into the picture, actually they make things worse. So let the machines be, they read all the signals, weather, demand patterns, skews and so on and so forth, and they're way more accurate. We're also using a cognitive intelligence system, which basically replaces human beings, because we have a supply chain, if you look at it quite simply, is, you plan a forecast based on the demand, you basically source material, then you make it in factories, and then you deliver, and then that's the loop that you normally go through. This entire thing, plan, source, make, deliver, may sound very simple conceptually, but it's very hard to do on an ongoing basis, and things keep changing because, you can't predict life. And now we're using a tool called ERA, which kind of operates in the middle of these plan, source, make, deliver, and starts to make decisions. So in fact, we don't need human beings to decide now, and I think by a reduction of the human beings in making, okay, what should I do now? This has gone wrong, supply is not okay there, and up to almost 90% reduction. So machines can actually start to optimize in situ, online, how to optimize things when things start to change, even after you have what is a good forecast. So that's another example of how we're using AI to basically deliver. And this just means less inventory, less wastage, low business waste. All of this is real cash, which goes straight to the P&L. And finally, another example of AI, which is quite a simple tool, is we sell something close to almost 3,500 SKUs every year, and they only increase. SKUs don't decrease. I mean, it's like complexity only increases. So what do? Not every SKU, and there's a long tail. So now we used to do this ad hoc once in a while. We'd all go back and say, okay, now let's get simplified, and we would go through a manual process of hacking all the wrong complexity. But now we, over a period of time, build a tool. It's basically called Polaris. It generates based on the relevance to the consumer, the customer, and the shopper, and the company. So it's commercial attractiveness, it's customer attractiveness, and it's consumer attractiveness. It generates a constantly ongoing ranking and keeps weeding out the SKUs that are not selling anymore or don't really have any value to add. And those SKUs are then automatically stopped in the production process without a use of a single human intervention. So it automatically cuts that production, stops the supply, stops buying raw material, and boom. So it's an ongoing simplification rather than us waking up every now and then and say, hey, we have too many SKUs. So that's another example of how AI is helping solve problems in supply chain. So what I've really done so far is given you a pretty good flavor in a consumer goods business about scale, size, and complexity. How can we use AI or forms of AI in consumer, customer, and operations? A few simple principles to remember, and as I said, this is just, we are probably in the first 5% odd, 10% of this journey, and a whole lot's going to change in AI and what it will do in the next 5-10 years. If you come back 10 years down the line, in a similar forum, Founders Day in 34, I can tell you that we cannot even imagine what this technology would have done to our lives. So yes, therefore, there is a lot to come. Yet, few principles to remember. Number one, AI by itself is of no value. I mean, we're not here to build toys or get excited with technology. At the end of the day, we're in business, and it's all about outcomes. Does it increase revenue? So do I get more growth, or do I save cost? So otherwise, it's very, very simple, more sales, growth, or less cost. If it's not doing any, or better service in customer satisfaction. If it's not doing any of these two things, frankly, it's of no use. So it's very important, because big companies can get really caught up in this whole digital transformation and use of AI without really having an end outcome, and that can be quite distracting. The number 2 point is that digitization or use of AI is a leadership job. And I run a council every month. It's called Rewire or Reimagine HUL, where we bring together the whole enterprise digital drivers, people, and we try and solve, because digitization is not a silo thing. It's totally enterprise-led. So you need leadership, you need energy to try and solve for that, and then make that impact the revenue and the cost lines. And finally, you've got to have a strong backbone. If the structural infrastructure on data is not good, no company, and the reason why India is going where it's going on digital transformation is because of unique ID. That is the DNA of any intelligence system, is to know each person has unique ID, which is now validated. That is at the core of the digital transformation in India. And the fact that there's one data lake, so that you can have portability of information. So the payment system can talk to the credit system, and you can decide, okay, this particular person is worthy of so much credit based on their payment data. And the data could flow between different places. So if you don't have good infrastructure of data, it's not well-founded, it's not going to work. So 3 high-level principles: do it for business outcomes, leadership is critical, and number 3 is invest in good data. Finally, 2 points, and I'm sure these are going to be discussed a lot: security and privacy. Because we're in a world where there are deep regulations around privacy and cyber security, and there are massive disincentives and penalties for getting that wrong. And I'm talking, if you go to Europe, if you get a cyber security incident, we're talking of serious implication. Serious, not just reputational, and that is already bad enough, financial, serious repercussions. So the cybersecurity is absolutely critical. You need strong controls, and every day in our company we are being attacked by hackers, every day. I mean, we don't even count them, but thousands of attacks happen every year. So the IT system and our people protecting us, it's as important as safety or health, cybersecurity. Data privacy is critical. You will not give your information out willingly to a company that doesn't use it well. And these are real risks. And final point is in governance of AI. AI, for all the good it has, there's lots of books being written and dilemmas and debates about, is that good for the society? Will we go through sort of a Skyfall or Skynet type scenario? What is it? So is that going to be that doomsday scenario, or is that AI going to be the next wave of productivity unleashing that we're looking for? But fact is that it can go wrong. There is security risks, there are biases already, and the recent Google fiasco, if you're all familiar with that, is going one way too much, and it's not going to be easy. So we have a strong governance in Unilever. There's a governance council or a team. It's called AI Assurance Platform, so they check for ethics, they check for security. For instance, we talk to ChatGPT, I mean, at the moment, if you use ChatGPT, you're effectively opening yourself to the world of, you open doors and you say, okay, take my data. So we can't do that. In our company, we use any form of Gen AI with under protection. So it has to be within the boundaries and firewall of the company. And there are things being done, but I think we are far away from the real future in use of Gen AI, still early days. So that is what I wanted to say. This deck was prepared by Copilot, which we are using, by the way, in the company. It does simple things like emails and all that right now, but there's more to come. So that's it. So that's the sum and substance of the story of HUL and how we're applying AI in real life and the future ahead. Thank you very much.
So we have 4 minutes before we have to move to the next session. I think we can take 3 quick questions if there are any. All right, that was the first hand up. Somebody has, oh, just take them to there. You'll have to be quick in doing this. You take the mic. Okay.
So just that, I'll just go by the example of HUL being a consumer brand with AI punctuating it at every part of its value chain as you have given. Do you think that given the fear around AI, there'll be like a clamor soon for products that do not use AI in their manufacturing instead, by consumers especially, that we have no, the fear that jobs are going to be taken by AI especially. So because of that, do you think we could have a clamor for products that don't use AI in being
I think that it doesn't seem very likely. I think because we have a little while, I'll be brief. I think AI, if it improves how we serve the consumer, so if we can get great concepts, we use AI for concept development right now, for great formulations, for tracking what consumers are looking for and serving new needs, which indeed is, we do use that right now, cloud data from, in fact, using Gen AI. Then it's good for the consumers because they get something, somebody's listening to them, and right now we get so much of data on our various airlines. It's impossible to make sense of it, and a lot of people sit down and they do. But now we use AI and it generates a very, very good synthesis of what the needs are, what they're saying. All of that is good. It's a tool of productivity to serve the consumers better. I don't think that I think is good. But to your second question, which is about AI taking jobs, is a more social question. But frankly, it's still out for debate. Normally with any form of revolution or change or a transformation in the society, so from industrial age to information age, and now let's say call it the AI age, new jobs get created. So, when typewriters moved out, PCs came in. When PCs moved out, we got AI coming in. So I think there'll be jobs like prompt engineers and so on and so forth. There's a lovely article in The Economist, this recent issue, which is about the impact of AI. We'll see. But I think there will be fear. But on the whole, I feel that there'll be new skill sets. So if you don't change, you and I don't change, if we don't evolve, we will be definitely irrelevant. Somebody else will get more relevant. So there'll be more jobs, but they'll not be the same jobs.
Next question. You have the mic.
I can hear you.
Yeah, good evening, sir. My name is Mansi. Thank you for the great insights. So I basically have 2 questions for you. First is that given that the concept of consumer home visit is there in India as well, does it also exist in other parts of the world where you've worked, like Philippines or Vietnam, etc.?
Yes.
Right. So in continuation with that, the part where you mentioned that AI is impacting consumers in a good way, what are your views on automating the process of the whole entire consumer home visits? And given that in the scenario of India where consumer mindset and sentiments are very dynamic in nature, do you think, because it's been a long-standing debate that AI cannot really replace the power of human computing and the power where humans, basically AI cannot really replace humans. So in that sense, do you think the process of consumer home visits can be automated and the sentiments that consumers have in India can be taken up by AI? What are your views on that?
Okay, no, I get where you're coming from. Basically, if you really want to be connected to consumers, you have to connect with consumers.
Right.
Okay, so it's a human process. I have to understand their emotions, their needs, and sometimes consumers can't describe what they feel. Sometimes what they say is not what they mean. You cannot serve consumers without being in touch with your consumers. So that's the number one thing. Number two, in terms of way consumer home visits are done, of course there is a direct contact, but also if you remember, you recognize that a large number of people are buying and sending signals on social media. They like, they don't like, they buy on e-commerce, they're buying with their phones, so they're walking with their phones. So there's a lot of data and signals coming from consumers on digital medium. So if you use that power of AI to gist that out, to develop insights, to test hypotheses, to do A/B testing, all of that is definitely of value and is being increasingly used. So using technology to serve consumers better is definitely happening. We do use virtual visits, etc. Home, when COVID, we could not go to homes, etc. So of course, there are ways of getting to homes without visiting them first directly. But to your question, there is a use for a technology to understand consumers better, but nothing to substitute for that one-on-one. So any area that requires deep creative judgment, that requires connectivity and emotions, machines will find it very difficult to replace.
Right, thank you, sir.
Last question from there, please.
Sir, good evening. It's very inspirational and inspiring to hear about from you all of the insightful things that HUL is doing. I'm curious to learn more about how it's using AI and its applications for its internal customers, the employee base, in its entire life cycle. If you could share some, please.
In fact, our early wins on AI really were data and analytics led through our internal modeling. So, for instance, how we decide on different parts of investment, whether we should put more money in media or in sales or promotions or price, was done through a tool called Jarvis, which is done internally. We also have things like Chanakya, we call it Chanakya. It's basically a way of us scraping data from the whole company rather than trying to push reports that people don't want to read. So everything can be customized. So we're using internal AI quite extensively for making decisions and for improving productivity, including creating digital twins. So instead of having a whole person doing a job, say for audit or something of that nature, we have digital twins, and they, so they actually do the whole work, like equal to human beings. And like I said, anything to do with transactions, more productivity is replaceable by machines to a large extent, where there's more complexity. And anything to do with creative judgment, where you need wisdom, you need experience, you need creativity, that will be a long way off before we can actually substitute that. So yeah, just to give you an answer to. I think we've done the threes. All right.
Thank you very much, sir, for the insightful session. I would now request Rajkamal sir to please present the memento to Rohit sir.
Thank you so much, Rohit.